Hell yeah.
And actually, there's only one plant in this category. This section is actually all about tea tree oil.
Yay! It's actually a great
All
one.
right.
And I think very surprising for most people.
Yeah, actually, I think tea tree oil, when you talk about like essential oil home remedies, most of it sound really hokey. But tea tree oil actually has a lot of really interesting data. So we're going to just walk through some of the classic ones pretty quickly. The first one is a 5% tea tree oil. This is, here, Victoria, are you ready for all the great words?
I'm ready.
This is randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled, N equals 30 in each group. So, all the juicy clinicals. Oh my God, this feels so good compared to in vitro raw chicken, you know? But anyway, so and one group uses a 5% tea tree oil gel. The other group uses a placebo gel. They go through a follow-up for every 15 days for a period of 45 days, so about a month and a half. Not super duper long, but they were evaluated by total acne lesion count and the general acne severity index. The results, I will say, I do have to say, the framework of the paper is really good. The results sound really promising. Basically, they say they show that tea tree oil gel completely outperformed the placebo. But if you will put the results up here, the bar graphs, at first glance, you're like, oh, wow, that tea tree oil gel did so much better than placebo. But when you look a little closer at the bar, you're like, wait, what am I looking at again?
Yeah, what's the two... Why are there two bar graphs side by side?
So there are two bar graphs side by side, and neither. So the first bar graph, for the listeners who can't look at the graphs, the first bar graph has no y-axis labeled. It's a 0 to 50 scale. What does that mean? I don't really know. And then the second bar graph, the y-axis is labeled efficiency. How is that measured? I don't really know. And my favorite part of these two bar chart is they have a little legend on the side, one for tea tree oil group, one for the placebo group.
Yeah.
They're both open white bars.
Yeah.
I can only guess which one is the placebo. I just found that to be mildly humorous.
I think also what's concerning, okay, if I'm going to take a guess, right? Because I think it looks like I'm going to guess if it's total lesion count, okay, whatever. The general efficacy, right?
Right.
The thing that bothers me and the fact that they spelled placebo wrong is that it looks like the lesion counts in the placebo group and the tea tree oil group are not even remotely the same. And that kind of bothers me because it doesn't feel like they're on equal playing field here.
Right. And then I was like, excuse me, I thought there were 3 time points. I don't see anything in this chart that takes into account of time point. Yes. So I think this was the equivalent of basically maybe me trying to do a pole vault Simone Biles style, but landing on my head and breaking my neck. The style, the idea is so good. The intention, the setup was so good.
I'm also just shocked that they can come away with that summary when the data looks like this. Because this is like not... It doesn't feel like it's a randomized double-blind placebo-controlled thing at all. This feels like lies. This is lies.
So
it's not lies, but it just doesn't make sense. I'm just emotionally distraught right now.
While Victoria offered all these sexy clinical terms, and then you wink, you squint and look closer at the results, you're like, what?
I got catfished. I'm sad.
This is a catfish study, but we'll move on. The good news here is we have more studies.
Okay, that's good.
Cool.
Let's do it.
I'm gonna just come out and say this is a petite study. This is 12 weeks. N equals 14.
Okay.
There is
but
no
it's about
placebo.
the data. It's about the data.
About the data. It is a 20% gel with a 0.7% wash, all with tea tree oil. It doesn't have a benchmark, so no comparison, but we have a reasonable looking chart, and I don't have to guess what the charts mean. We'll put the result up here. And yeah, it definitely shows a steady decrease.
The bar feels low. It feels like we've set the bar pretty low. We're like, please just spell placebo correctly and label your y-axis And,
yeah,
it's just kind of sad. Okay.
Yeah, but this they measure the number of lesions and general acne severity grading every 4 weeks for 12 weeks, and you can just see a steady decline in all of them. I will say I appreciate the box and whisker chart, but when it's n equals 14, I don't know if it really adds too much to my life. But
No, no, it doesn't. Sorry, Gloria. I just want to ask: is this are they using the gel like once a day, or is this routine once, twice a day? How does it? How are they using it? Once a day. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if you look closer at the actual numbers, the number of lesions after 12 weeks decreased by about 50%. So that's kind of the degree of improvement here. Again, there's like things that we can pick apart here, but compared to all the other plants, it's actually testing on acne skin. There is there's a good time period, and it shows that it does work in vivo.
Yeah.
Cool.
Data.
A whiff
of data. A whiff of hope. A whiff of hope.
And we're gonna leave the best for last. We actually have comparison data against what we talked about last episode. This is against benzoyl peroxide. This is actually a head-to-head comparison of 5% tea tree oil versus a 5% benzoyl peroxide. And Victoria, you're gonna get excited about this. There's 124 subjects with n equals 60 in each group.
I'm trying not to get my hopes up.
3 months. Yes.
Excellent. Excellent.
We'll put the results up. You can see that you might have to squint to see because like the dots are tiny. But generally speaking, the BPO group did work better on both inflammatory and non-inflammatory lesions. But the tea tree oil group did show the same trend. So it does work for both inflammatory and non-inflammatory lesions, just not to the same degree as 5% BPO.
I gotta point out what Gloria pointed out to me because I'm at a point now where I just feel like tea tree oil must make people a little loopy because all 3 studies have questionable graphing errors. And if you look at, we'll put the graphs up here of the results. But if you look at the figure descriptions, you'll realize that what they label as inflamed lesion and non-inflamed lesion, it's like swapped with the y-axis. So for figure 1, you'll see the description says it's about inflamed lesions, but the y-axis is about non-inflamed lesions. And I'm like, what is it about tea tree oil that people just keep doing?
They're applying on skin, but also smoking it a little bit at the same time.
Stop sniffing the tea tree oil when you're writing this paper. Stop it.
I have to say when I kind of squinted and saw that, I was like, I feel like we've been in this industry for some time now, and I will say it's a very fast paced. It's, for better or worse, it's a very marketing driven industry. Yeah. So the good thing is there's a lot of interesting things to talk about. You're never short of a new technology, new studies, new hype ingredients with variable results. But man, the number of derpy studies, Victoria and I have to just sit there and think, why? Why did you do that?
Oh gosh, it's just like, so close, just so close, almost a home run. But I mean, okay, first of all, we should not discredit. This is a comparison study. Do you know how hard it is to find a comparison to study? And they tested it against an OTC active. So that's definitely all good signs. And I think just for this scenario, I do think tea tree oil is definitely a great secondary active to have in your routine. Yeah. Like there's enough data there that it warrants like a chance. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Like compared to, I mean, you guys, even though we made fun of the kind of derpy graphs and whatnot, you could already tell the quality of the data compared to the 3 that we covered in the first segment is night and day. So, and this is like, as far as plants versus acne goes, tea tree oil gets a gold star.
For sure. I did want to just add that in the study that Gloria found, they talk about the comparison in greater detail of tea tree oil and BPO. They did mention that the BPO group did show increasingly less skin oiliness. So that's one difference. But there was no significant difference between the groups for things like, which I thought was interesting, skin erythema, scaling, and but they did find scaling and pruritus, which is itchiness, significantly greater for the BPO group in the 1 month period. So those are just some things to consider in terms of comparison. Yeah.